Cell phones in schools. Sarah Murdis. Students have cell phones, but why is it a problem? First, cell phones are very distracting to students. Secondly, cell phones can be used for cheating. And third, cell phones offer potential problems with cyberbullying. So what do schools usually do about cell phones? They ban them, and this usually creates more problems, especially the power struggle between students and teachers when it comes to enforcing the cell phone ban. Legal support to ban cell phones. In New York and New Jersey, courts have supported school cell phone bans. The authority to ban cell phones is granted if there is evidence of disruption to the educational process. Essentially, it's okay to ban cell phones if there is no violation of students' First Amendment freedoms. Special exceptions to the ban? Well, students with chronic illnesses may use cell phones for medical emergencies, or other special circumstances may be allowed. But all exceptions must be filed and available to prove the fairness and legitimacy of the exceptions. Essentially, we don't want people, meaning students or parents, thinking that other students are receiving any special treatment. Murray School cell phone policy. This is the first school where I worked. The policy is updated yearly to keep up with the changes in technology use. So, in the policy, students may have cell phones in possession during school hours if the phones are turned off or on silent and out of sight. Phones may be used during lunch or with the express permission of faculty or administration. Phones are absolutely prohibited in locker rooms or restrooms. Consequences in Murray School. Confiscation and possible prosecution. Parents may be required to come to the school to retrieve confiscated phones. And if there's a third offense, the principal may require the phone to be checked in before school. Also, exceptions to the policy may be granted by the principal. I believe that Murray's policy is fair, and I know that it's very thoroughly thought through because the principal and the teachers in the school are always talking about what they can do to improve the cell phone policy. I do believe that any court of law would uphold Murray's ban on cell phones because the school could give significant evidence of the disruption to learning that cell phones cause. One problem with the ban is that teachers become tired of enforcing the policy. It's really difficult when every day in every class you have to continually say, turn it off, put it on silent, I don't want to see it. I mean, it really creates a power struggle between students and teachers, and sometimes between teachers and parents. So some teachers don't hold the students accountable, and this makes the job difficult for the remaining teachers who are trying to keep those students accountable for the policy. Personal experiences that I've had with cell phones in school. Once, a boy's father was texting him during class, and it turns out that the father was on the school board, and he's breaking the school policy about cell phones. Another experience was that a boy texted a pizza order to be delivered to my classroom, all from his pocket, which I find completely amazing. I mean, these students are so good at manipulating their cell phones. And third, a boy was texting from his pocket, and I asked him to show me his phone so I could be sure that he had turned it off, which was the school policy at the time. After class, he ran to the elementary school, the wing for the elementary, where his mother works as an aide, and told her that I had reached into his pocket and touched his private parts to get his phone, a complete lie. And his mother, who believed him, rushed into my classroom and just yelled at me, shouted at me in front of another class of students. Um, and then one story that I know from here in Spain, actually, an English student that I have who's a teenager here told me that she's going to a private school now, an all-girls school, because in the public school, some students took a picture of her with their cell phone while she was at the board helping a teacher to solve the problem. and they manipulated the picture somehow and added like text bubbles and things, and were slandering her on social network sites. So cyberbullying, and she ended up having to change schools because it was too difficult for her to deal with that. So a lot of interesting experiences that I've had with cell phones that I'm sure that all teachers and principals have. So my conclusions about cell phones. Really, from my experience, I think it's impossible for teachers to enforce a school cell phone ban. It's just impossible, and it ends up becoming more distracting than the cell phones themselves. Teachers have to confront defensive students and sometimes parents on a daily basis. And this can become really demoralizing for teachers because it puts teachers in the situation of having to make the decision. Am I going to support the principal and the school board who made the policy and the ban on cell phones and continuously have to confront defensive students, or am I just going to let it slide and let the students do what they want, which can cause other behavior problems as well? So this really puts teachers in a difficult position. So my idea is that why don't we try to incorporate cell phones into curriculum? If they're being a problem in school, instead of trying to ban them, even though it's legal, let's try to use them in a constructive way. And I've found evidence that there are a lot of schools, a lot of teachers who are trying to do this. In fact, there's a great article on scholastic.com called Lift the Cell Phone Ban, and it's all about teachers and schools who are incorporating the use of cell phones into their classroom activities. And some quotes here from teachers and principals are, if you give them, meaning the students, the opportunity to use the cell phones, and you give them guidelines to go with that use, you won't have problems. And they're using this stuff anyway. Let's teach them how to use it productively. So there are some really great examples in the article of ways that you can use cell phones in your curriculum. One that I really liked was a teacher who, when her students are working in small groups, she has the students use the cell phones to video record the small group discussion, and then they upload it onto I think it's a social network site or something like this, and then she can actually watch all of the discussion. So it makes it easier for the teacher to know what's happening in all of the small group work, and it gives the students a way to incorporate those cell phones and show what they know how to do with them and everything. So anyway, uh, cell phone bans are legal, but I think that we should try to incorporate the use of cell phones into our curriculum, and it would just be more positive all around for everybody. Well, thank you.